Hello to all the comic fans, Marvel geeks, and all the nerds in between. Welcome to another episode of the Vigilante Vibes podcast, where we talk all things Marvel and with some other fandoms, but without the toxicity. Without the toxicity that's taken up way too much space in each and every fandom. I'm your host, Megan Nicole, and we're here to have another episode of Elevating the Nerdy Voices of the Rainbow, where we lift up the voices of the LGBTQI plus communities. Today joining me, I have probably the biggest Dazzler fan in the world of nerds, and I'm so excited to discuss the woman herself with the amazing Michael.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Megan. Yeah, I'm very excited. And yes, I will say I'm a gigantic Dazzler fan, and I have been since I was a little kid in the 80s. So absolutely. So I'm happy that I'm still around and that she's still around.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like Dazzler has always been so overlooked, underappreciated, and she's so much fun. I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a product of a few things. Of course, when she was introduced way back in the day, 1979, she was meant to be a multimedia, and you may get into this, so I don't want to, spoiler alert, everybody. She was meant to be a multimedia, basically tool for Marvel and Casablanca Records, and having films, and there was a movie script by Jim Shooter, but everything kept falling apart. So eventually she made it to the page, but she did not make it to the screen, and she did not make any kind of record deals. So by the time we got her, it was all about disco, and this was 1979 to 1980, and disco was on its way out. So immediately we had a little bit of a style issue. Now I still loved it. I thought it was fun, and I read it a little later because I was too young. I was, 0 to 1 years old then, to get her when she came out. But I feel like there's style things like that have happened. Her solo series, I love. It's amazing. She joined the Uncanny X-Men, as we all know. But I feel like there's often things that will take her out. So, like Chris Claremont, kind of the end of the Outback era, which ended a little early. She was gone. In the Mojoverse for 10 years 10 years in the real time. That severely hurts a character who, popular or not, she was gone from pages as a regular character for about 10 years. So I feel like that still to this day hurts her, because when writers bring her back, sometimes they treat her as like the queen of cameos. Sometimes she's more of a novelty, fun character to bring in. And a lot of times she'll be brought in for new books and highly publicized, but then the books will get canceled. And then, yeah, so it's not like she's a character like, let's say, Storm or Wolverine or Rogue, who, that's fine, that one book got canceled. They're in 4 other books. We're still going to see them, right? So with Dazzler, it's like, oh, the one book got canceled, and then she'll be MIA for a while until another opportunity. So it's tough. It's hard on Dazzler fans.
It really is, and it's exactly like you said. Other books get canceled, and that's okay, because they're on multiple teams at once. A lot of the From the Ashes books have been canceled at number 10, at their 10th issue, NYX is one of them. And what I love to see from that is Jason Lowe gets to do more Dazzler, because her 5-issue run ended. I thought it was a beautiful run. I loved it from top to bottom. And now
I saw your reviews. Yes.
Now we get to see even more with Concert of Champions, which is I'm so hyped for.
Yeah, it'll be fun in April. I know, I'm going to check the date. I have it on my pull list. I have all the variant covers with Dazzler on my pull list, so I'm excited. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I feel like, with her miniseries, that was definitely planned to be a miniseries, and there's only so many things Jason could do, and so he couldn't do a lot of deep dive in only a handful of issues, right? So hopefully, if we can keep her around and he can keep writing her, or someone can keep writing her who truly cares about her, we can hopefully get more, deep dives in her character, because there are so many unresolved stories in her background that I'm sure we'll get to today, because they're quite wild. So it'd be nice to have some of those, not necessarily resolved, but brought back up and tackled,
Yeah, just a little bit of background on her. Dazzler, she first appeared in Uncanny X-Men number 130, like Michael has said previously. She manifested her mutant abilities while performing at a high school dance when a gang of bikers disturbed the party and started attacking everyone. When she was about to be attacked herself, she unleashed a blast of incredibly beautiful light blinding all of the in attendance to save herself.
Oops.
For years, Allison kept her powers a secret from those closest to her, which is fair, further alienating herself from her father. By the time she reached university, Allison began to explore both her powers and her musical ability. Allison crafted her own performing suit, accessories, and named herself the Dazzler.
She sure did. Yeah, she and her dad were incredibly at odds, so she grew up without knowing what happened to her mom,
Yeah.
and her grandma Bella living with her and her dad worked her really hard and wanted her to be a lawyer, just like him. So she did go to college. She went to a 4-year undergrad program in pre-law, graduated, and on her graduation day, essentially walked away from her dad saying, "You know what? This isn't what I want to do. This is not my dream. My dream is singing. Bye." And that's what she did. And she's really self-taught, right? Like she learned how to use her mutant powers on her own. She didn't have a mentor. She was not at the mansion. She had no training, no danger room. She had no help for most of her early life, right? When she was a teenager, early 20s. So I think it's incredible all the things that she learned how to do on her own. And what's really funny about her solo series is that it was a secret, right? It was a light show. It was her own little gimmick, a little device or whatever. She would tell everybody, trade secret.
Yeah.
Um,
A
but she would,
technological
that's right,
secret.
back in
Yeah.
the early 80s, right? Oh my God, but her body's glowing. Ah, it's my little device I have in my pocket, right?
Now they'd call it CGI.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And so she would always be in these situations where she would have to use her powers for good. And she just couldn't help herself, right? Like she could not help herself from saving people, whether it's someone on the subway about to be attacked, and like helping out with these thugs, and then the humans end up attacking her when she uses her powers, like it mind-boggling, but she can't help herself from being heroic and helping save other people, which I love. And I love her more, kind of like Spider-Man, right? Like on street level, New York City, stumbling into these things where she's, forced to make that choice. Like, are you going to help? Or are you going to run? And she will always help, whether she can use her powers or not. So always helping. Yep, can't help herself.
What I love is that you brought up that she taught herself how to use her powers, how to control them
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
every damn near every mutant that's introduced in the mutant universe, either Xavier finds him and he's like,
Yep.
I can help you,
Yep.
which is like,
Yep.
calm down, Xavier. Or
Yep.
others have already grown into their powers, so
Yeah.
there's no backstory. But her, it's so different because no one knew, and she had to figure every single bit out. And that
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
wild to
Hmm.
think.
Hmm. Yep, absolutely. And her powers are incredibly complicated too. So on a cellular level, she's always absorbing sound vibrations, right? And essentially charging up her powers. So, she had to figure that out on her own somehow. You know what I mean? Like over the years as a teenager. Now, in her early 20s, she did thankfully have testing through Project Pegasus. So that in of itself would have given her a better understanding of her powers, but they weren't training her, they were testing her. You know what I mean? So they were like, okay, blast through this 1 foot of concrete. Let's see if you can do it. And how much sound can you absorb? How much energy can you project? And things like those. But they weren't training her. So, she had to learn all those things. And not only that, what I really love about her is that, in Uncanny X-Men 130, when Scott, Jean, when they go to the club, and of course it's attacked because every Dazzler performance, there's an attack.
Everyone.
Yeah, Scott comes out and says to her basically like, "Hey, like, did you ever wonder where your powers came from?" She's like, "Nope." And it's hysterical. And then, Scott, in typical Scott, Cyclops fashion, he's like educating her like, "Oh, well, you're a mutant, blah, 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 blah." And she's like, "Are you serious?" Like, she doesn't have time. Like, she needs to pay the bills, right? Like, she's out there in an apartment with barely any food in her refrigerator, like half a cantaloupe, ketchup, and a box of crackers. And she has to pay her rent. She doesn't have time. And what I like about her, with all that, is that she's fighting really hard to be independent and stand on her 2 feet on her own without shelter of the professor and the mansion and unlimited everything, clothes and food and everything. Like, no, she's like, no, I'm taking care of myself. I'm doing this. So I love that about her. Very independent.
I yeah, and she's so relatable.
Hmm.
And I love that it's finally a character who's like, I don't want to be on a team. I don't want you guys your help.
Yep.
I just
Yep.
want to do my thing. I just want to
Yep.
live my life. You do you, I'll do
Hmm.
me. We are
Hmm.
cool.
Yep.
And I feel like Scott was just like, wait a minute. No one's ever said no one's ever said no to me. What do you mean?
Unless they're a villain, right? Yeah. Yeah. I know, right? Because I mean, I feel like there were so many comics back in the day that it was either you're a good guy, in mutants especially, like you're a good guy, or you're an evil mutant, or then a little later you're a Morlock. Like that was kind of it. We didn't really have anyone that just wanted to be like, you know what? I want a different career. I don't want any of that. And then when the time comes, if you need me, maybe let me know, or maybe I'll reach out, and I'll be maybe saving the day here and there when things come up. Without seeking it out, you know?
Yeah. Like there really wasn't any that were just chilling. They're like,
Yeah,
yes, yeah, I have mutant powers, whatever. But like I gotta be at work at like 4.
yeah,
So
that's right. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, and
I
we
love
had
that
many
about her.
days. Yeah, and you know, and as her solo series progressed, you know, it would be more drama, of course, and I loved the very relatable part about being in your early to mid 20s, all the dating mishaps. She was not great, and still isn't, about picking and you know a good partner for her. You know, between doctors and lawyers and the Beast and Warren, you know, the Angel, you know in her solo series, we're not even caught up yet, of course, but it was funny. But you know, looking back, it's like, you know, that's what single in your 20s is like. You're trying to navigate career, life, that means dating, and there's, you know, can be a lot of dating mishaps going on.
Which is so fair. But I mean, regular pop stars can't do it. Now add in like superhero pop stars, and it's
Yeah,
like this poor girl does
yeah,
not stand a chance. And that's
yeah,
okay because she loves being independent.
yes. Thank God there wasn't social media back then, though. I will say, it would have been a whole different. She would have been discovered very quickly back then,
Yes,
outed
that's what
very
I
quickly.
said. Because
Yeah.
in Jason Lowe's independent run of the Dazzler,
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
see them kind of intermingle social media, a more
Hmm.
modern era
Hmm.
into her
Hmm.
story. And
Yep.
it's like, I like how they did it because
Hmm.
it really fit the tone. But
Yeah.
it's also like, this is exactly how it would be. They would be trashing her on TikTok or
Yeah.
hashtag love the Dazzler on
Yep.
TikTok.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny too. So going through her solo series and then getting to Dazzler the movie, the graphic novel. So people love that or hate it, to be fair. There are some different things that she does that are questionable for her character. I won't get into those, but I'll say the tone of it is very, very Me Too movement.
Oh,
So so when I read it years later, after the Me Too movement had happened, I read it through a very different lens. And I was looking through and I'm like, wow, so here's this woman in the industry, or trying to make her way in the industry. So power deficit. There's this guy, Roman Nikaboo, however you say his very strange last name, this older gentleman who's kind of a washed up singer actor, and he's essentially stalking her. You know, he pushes his way into her apartment. He basically pushes himself on her. They smash through her coffee table, her glass coffee table. She's sitting there crying. He leaves, but they're at this power deficit, of course. She's at a power deficit with him, right? Because he's this big movie producer. She needs a career, and he continues to pursue her, and she gives in. And, you know, it's very timely because we were always dealing with those things now. It's just more out there because of Harvey Weinstein and all of that,
yeah.
right? And when you look at the book through the graphic novel through that lens, yes, there's times that when she's taking the control back, absolutely. There's a very specific scene when they're like in the back of his limousine. I don't know what he says, but she shoots. I think it's after she's publicly outed up, which is a whole horrible situation. She
Yeah.
shoots a laser at his cigarette to light it. Oh my God. And it's when she discovers that her body can now store sound. Because early on in the solo series, or most of it, like when there was no sounds happening, no music, out of powers. She couldn't do
Yeah.
anything. And I'm glad that they fixed that because it was getting, you know, they needed to make a fix for that. And they did. So she was able to store the power, but then she also takes that moment to basically kind of flop him down Not aggressively, but be like, okay, I'm kind of in control, and this is what I want, and we're making this movie. You know what I mean? And then starts kissing him. So the like the power dynamics are shifting now. The whole thing becomes a complete disaster with someone who ends up popping back up in Uncanny X-Men many years later, Eric Beale as her stalker. Um, but just it was very Me Too movement, and you could just see her so powerless for so much of that until she was able to take her power back. Even something as far as she recognized that she had lost like her fitness, her health. She had been working out, she was smoking cigarettes. She looks in the mirror and she's like, "Wow, I didn't used to be flabby there. Like what have I done to myself? What have I let these other people control and take out of my hands? This is me, this is my life, this is my body, this is my career, and I need to take this back." And something about her that it's funny that they did that because something about her, she was always big into exercise. She was an aerobics instructor as one of her side hustles while she's trying to get into the business. So it's just kind of funny when they would loop things back like that into it, but I felt like that was something that if that had come out now could have been huge. So, but the 80s were a different time.
The fact that it came out at all before the
Yeah,
Me Too movement, that's
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. I like I said earlier, she's very relatable and these things happen in real life every day and it
hmm
should be
hmm
shown in these
hmm
comic book
hmm
worlds
Yeah,
because we're supposed to be able to relate to them.
absolutely. Yep. Yeah, and so, of course, because it was in the 80s, there's some, like I said, like some questionable things that happen in the book. Like at the beginning, she meets this guy named Freddie well, after she's teaching aerobics. Actually, that's how the whole, that's how Dazzler the movie opens, how Eric Beale finds her. And, he comes on to her very sexually, but then Freddie is this guy, or Fred, who she just meets, and she invites out to have a carrot juice. And they sit in his car, and she gives him a kiss. And I'm like, wait, what? What are you doing, Allison? What is going on here? But it was kind of a confidence builder for him. But it was wild. There were definitely some odd things in that. Written by Jim Shooter, who he was a huge advocate for her in her creation, and her being in the X-Men books after her series was canceled. He's why she was an Uncanny X-Men. So I give him many props for that, for promoting her as much as he could. But he does not have a good reputation like LGBTQ and sexism. So if we look back, does not have a good reputation, that guy. So
It's so annoying when someone's like fighting the good fight and you're like, oh my God, you're actually a piece of crap though. Oh, I'm so conflicted.
I know, but that's human nature, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just we're not good and bad. We're a mix of everything, and we don't, villains in this world. I almost said we, villains in this world. Like we're always, villains think that they're doing the right thing. I would say, right? Like I wouldn't say the motivation of what we call a villain. They don't think they're destroying the world or they're out for world domination, right? Like Thanos, in the Avengers films, he thinks he's doing something right to save the universe,
Yeah.
right? He
Yeah.
doesn't think that he's just killing everybody.
Yeah.
But so, there you have it.
Yeah. Plus villains, people like Shooter with these opinions he has.
Yeah.
That's not his opinion for life. Everyone has room to change and grow.
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
like you just
True.
kind of
That's
hope,
true.
like, I hope your eyes are
Yeah.
open at some point and you
Yeah.
look back and you're like, that was not it.
Yeah. Yeah. And culturally things have changed, right? Like society-wise, culture, we've made progress. I mean, this year is a little different, but all in all, society-wise, we have made progress with acceptance and LGBTQ and rights and equal rights all around. So hopefully we continue to. That's a different situation again. But like you said, you made a really good point, Megan, that there is room, and we should allow that room for the grace for people to start to accept and to say, I don't really feel that way, and I did, and wow, through exposure to this or through
Yeah.
education, that these are just people's lives, and they just want to be happy like everybody else. We all should just allow that, and everybody should be equal. And I think a lot more people are coming around to that. Um, so we'll see. We've got to keep on the good fight, the mutant good fight, right?
As a as a straight woman who's married to a man
Yep,
in a
yep,
in a straight marriage, I
yeah,
can honestly say that gay marriage gay relationships,
Hmm.
gay characters has literally had no impact on my marriage whatsoever. And
None.
the sooner everyone realizes it's just people that just want to love like a straight couple can,
That's it. That's it. It
that's
should,
fine. Done.
yeah,
It's over.
and equality is not a pie chart, right? Like for some
No.
reason, people are like, wow, if these, if this marginalized group, this protected class has equality, then it's taking something away from me. Well, tell us what. What are they, what is it, what's being taken away from you? Nothing.
No.
Literally nothing.
And
Not your
anyone that wants to
happiness?
say the sanctity of marriage
Right.
is ruined by gay people, we have TV shows about marriage being a game. And
Yeah.
you guys are
Yeah.
saying gay people are
Yeah.
or someone
Yeah.
who wants to accept that they're actually a woman, you think that's taking away from your life at all. It's
Right.
like
Right.
it sounds like you're kind of projecting your life and there's some things you're
Yes.
not looking into and putting it on other
Yes.
people.
Yes, and we see that quite often with politicians that will vote certain ways for many years, and I won't say anyone's names because, but things come out and they come out of
Yeah.
the closet later. However, they don't really apologize for their actions that did harm people with their votes, and but they ask for forgiveness at the same time. I'm like, but we have to try to be better than that and
Yeah.
at least listen. Like I'm like, I am at least here to listen. I don't forget. I may not forgive, but I will listen. And that's kind of the best I can do sometimes.
Precisely that. There's a very famous former Olympian who found out who she was,
Hmm.
but at the same time as coming out and transitioning and forming what could have been a really beautiful life, she decided to go out and say she doesn't believe in gay marriage. And it's like, hang on.
Yeah.
I and that I yes, I am more than willing to listen. I will
Hmm.
not forget what you've said,
Yeah.
but I will listen and I will observe to see
Yep.
where you're at now. But with that, it's like I'm not even of these communities and I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
And I
Sure,
cannot
sure.
imagine how all of you feel because it's like this could have been a beautiful, beautiful step of representation.
Yeah.
The man of all mans, the Olympian,
Yeah.
found out, well, came out and said,
Yeah.
I have always been a woman. That could have been
Yeah.
a beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful story.
Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, I know who you're talking about. And this person is still, to me, on the wrong side of history and supporting the wrong people politically. And
Yes.
still
Yes.
does when the person that this person supports said that they don't recognize this person's gender that they choose, and they
Yeah.
still choose that person as the leader of the free world. So it's quite interesting how you agree with things that are against your best interests and your happiness. It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess, fuck the rest of the community, right?
That's
As long as you're
right.
good.
And you're not good. Just because you're a millionaire doesn't mean you're shielded from
Yes.
things either.
Yes.
Yeah, I
It's
think
like,
that's the problem too. Yeah,
it's
out
so
of touch.
stupid.
Hmm.
Like, right now is a time that representation is so, so important. Positive
Yes,
representation,
yes,
which is
yes.
why I started the series. People need a spotlight
Yep,
where in a safe
yep,
space where they won't get made
yep,
fun of, bullied, or
yep.
anything. And it's wild to me that more people haven't taken that opportunity to do the same because
Yeah.
it's like we're allies.
Hmm.
We can't do
Hmm.
much except offer a
Hmm.
place and
Yep,
support. And it's just weird to me that that's not happening.
yep. And come to Pride. The more the merrier, more numbers.
Yes. Yeah.
Please.
I've always wanted to go so bad, but
Go
there's
to
none near
Pride.
me. There's
Oh,
none near
really?
me. Yeah.
Uh,
I live in the middle of
hmm.
nowhere.
See, yeah, it's funny, we have more and more pop-ups. So I live in Maine. I live in West
Okay.
Gardner, Maine, which is about 15 minutes from the capital, from Augusta. So as time goes on, we used to have one Pride. We had Southern Maine Pride is what it was called, and it was held in Portland, our biggest city, very progressive city in Southern Maine, right on the coast. And now we have all these other smaller prides that have popped up in different
Aw.
towns over the years that we have completely lost track of different prides. And where we live, we have a really cute town on the Kennebec River called Hollowell, and it's like a mini, just this cute riverfront town with all these little eclectic restaurants and bars and antique shops, and it's really cute. And they even have their own pride now, so we get to march in the parade, and there's everyone in the street, and it's just really cute. Yeah.
Do you do your Dazzler look when you go?
That's a really good question. So all right, it's different every year. So we used to march in Portland Pride. So my husband works for the VA, and
Okay.
there is no long federal government. We used to march with them, but none of that is able to happen anymore. So we'll march with my work instead. And so what I've done in the past is I'll do like my sparkle eye makeup. I somehow it ends up in a Dazzler shape every single time. Like that's just etched in my brain, and I'm more comfortable doing that than going rogue. And
Hmm.
I've done it rainbows before, which is not
Yeah.
easy. And now I use like more of it's basically like how do I explain this? It's like glitter and sparkles that are like in a glue, and you just take a little brush
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, that's really
Yeah, it's
easy.
kind of like a nail polish thing.
Yeah, and it
Like,
stays right on, and it comes off
yeah.
really easily. So I
Yeah.
had before been using like Maron Paradise, which is a really great like body paint, face paint. Goes on great. Trying to get that off. If you have sensitive skin or if you're not used to any kind of a makeup, I would have broken blood vessels just trying to get this off. And I would be using the right things I learned how to use, like makeup
Primer.
wipes and yeah, so I'd use primer, I'd use spray after, setting spray, but getting it off, I would use, like the wipes, the makeup wipes, and then I would use like an oil. I'd use Albolene that someone
Love
took.
that stuff.
I'd like just all this stuff, and it still would not be off. And I had broken blood vessels. I'm like, whatever. This is like Comic-Con life, I guess. So, but now the sparkle stuff comes off much better. Yeah.
Also, side note, if anyone isn't a big sweater at the gym, Abilene on your skin will make you sweat like crazy. Because I'm not a big sweater, so
Oh.
my skin would break out when I would work out. So
Oh. Yeah, because
you
your pores
just,
wouldn't clear. You wouldn't get this
yeah,
sweat
and
out.
and it was like just rubbing all around. But yeah, just put it on, go to the gym, sweat like crazy.
Interesting. No, I need the opposite. I need to sweat less at the gym. But I mean, it's good for us to work up the sweat, right?
Yeah, and
Um,
like made my skin clear up doing that and everything.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a big skincare guy too. I'll talk about skincare sometime too. My mom was an
What?
esthetician, so I know a lot of stuff.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
I
All
love
right.
that.
I'll tell you my one trick. Okay, so
Okay.
this isn't from my mom, but this is from having horrible acne in middle school as a teenager. Both of my parents had horrible acne. My brother did. I could not escape it. I've been using, and I still use it, low dose, so like 0.025% of what we called back in the day Retin-A. That was
Hmm.
prescription. Now it's called tretinoin. I think it's the generic. I still use that. And that's what us and our middle-aged folks need to keep using to slough off the skin and regenerate your skin. So if
Is
you
that
can
the
get a
stuff
hold
that
of
you
that.
can't go into the sunlight with it on?
Yeah, no. No, not really. No, I'm sensitive to the sun anyway, and that's my other
Yeah.
trick too, like just avoid. I mean, I'm gonna
Okay.
guess the sun is not your best friend either, based on your
I
skin
am
tone.
so white. The sun
Stay that
paints
way.
me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
gonna
I used
you'll
to
burn.
hate it. I hated it. I was like, oh, I look like a
Yeah.
ghost. And then my
No,
daughter was born and she has the exact same skin. So I'm like, it's a gift. I
it's a
love it.
gift. I think it's a
Hmm.
gift, and it forces you to stay out of the sun. So it
Yeah.
forces your skin to stay young because
Yeah.
you can't be in the sun, you'll fry. Yeah. I've always
Yes.
been slathered in sunscreen, and I still am. Even in the winter, living in Maine, I'm still like, I'll go down to SPF 30 on my face from 50, but it's still on every day. Yeah. Those are my
It
tricks.
should
Well,
be. It's great
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, they make facial concealer that's all sunscreen. So it's
Yeah,
like
a lot of makeup has sunscreen.
it's
Yep.
very, very
Nowadays.
easy trick to do.
Wear your sunscreen, people. Those are my two tips for the day. So it's Retin-A, aka tretinoin, but you need a prescription. And if you're over age 27, your doctor has to write a special letter for your insurance to cover it. Otherwise, it's really, really, really expensive. But I've had acne my whole life. I don't now, but I can't say it's not because I don't use this. So I keep getting the prescription.
I love that. I'm gonna ask my
Yeah.
doctor about it because
Yeah.
I've had acne my entire fucking
Okay.
life,
Okay.
and that's amazing.
Yeah, and I only use it twice a week. I
Hmm.
alternate just twice a week because I don't want to be too photosensitive. And it does slough off your skin. So if you get it, the first couple weeks, just you got to get over the hump, like with any new skincare, and just you could break out a little more. Your skin could kind of peel. No, Okay, not peel. Could flake a little bit if you're not
Yeah.
used to it, but you just got to get through that phase, and then you're like, oh, I should have been using this 20 years ago. Yes,
Well, it's
yes,
perfect.
yes. And if I were Dazzler, which I would love to have her powers because you could give yourself, photo facials, laser facials. You
Yeah.
could zap off brown spots, broken blood vessels. See? And that's why she looks so young. Yeah.
And I feel like she's just always, I feel like she's a fun character, but she's a relatable character. She's a
Yeah.
carefree character,
Yeah. Yeah.
but she's so whimsical and just such a
Yeah.
lover of life. She just
Yeah.
wants to live. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Absolutely.
no matter how old that girl gets, she will always be young at heart.
Yes, she will. And I think too, we should bring up a really fun plot point. Anyway, something
Ooh.
that's technically it's resolved-ish, but not really. So, over the years in the comics, starting with New Excalibur. So, after she joined Uncanny X-Men, then she got trapped in the Mojoverse with Longshot. When she came back, she was in New Excalibur when she had like the chaps and the short pink hair. Chris Claremont wrote that. And she kept dying and coming back to life. And it was never resolved on page. It happened again in A-Force, never resolved on page. And so this is a story. So this is a Chris Claremont comic convention story. So I wanted to know, this was years later, when Con, I had the first Dazzler action figure to give him, the disco, and I'm like, I'll just give it to him. And as a present, I thought it was cute. First time meeting him, the con was Super Mega Fest that's in Framingham, Massachusetts. And this was before cons, I don't know, like 8 years ago, before everything was pop culture. So this was before everything was 80s, basically, right? So cons were more just comics and comic characters. Like you didn't have all these other pop culture characters that caught on. But this was really like on trend. And so in his line, I just said, "Hey, I've got two questions for you." One of them was, "Why did you put Dazzler as a team member in Uncanny X-Men when she joined after Mutant Massacre?" And he said, "Jim Shooter." So in other words, he made him. He was his boss. He made him.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my other question, was, oh, in New Excalibur, Dazzler kept dying and mysteriously coming back to life, and it was never resolved on page. And he sat back and he went like this, and he thought, and he goes, Roma in the Siege Perilous. And I said, what? He said, yeah. And I said, oh. I said, well, technically, none of the X-Men that died in the Outback era stayed dead for one reason or another. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess that could make sense. But it never went to page. So I've been like telling people over the years a little bit, and they're like, oh, everyone's like, well, does that make sense? I don't know. It never happened, right? So it never happened on page. It's not canon. So finally I know, you see how I'm like counting the years. I'm like, okay, what happened next? What happened next?
Yeah.
In Krakoa era, with the most recent gala that there was the massacre, Dazzler died. Nimrod killed her, like blown apart, like lost an arm, lost part of her body. Didn't regenerate from that situation, right? She didn't jump back up. And in Dead X-Men, I don't know if you read that, at the end of the Krakoa era, she had a situation where Moira, one of the Moiras, killed her. She threw like this charge up, basically machete, and
Yeah.
Dazzler jumped to save someone, Prodigy, and it hit her in the back of the head and it killed her. And she went down, and then like right when everything was falling apart and everyone's like, okay, this is over, Moira's gonna win, Dazzler, jumps up, does a finger cannon, blows Moira, like shoots her arm off, blows up the machete, and she kind of figures out how it happened. She's like, so when Nimrod, like beats me to a pulp, game over, but flesh wound, yeah, I guess I can come back from that. And then she kind of is like, oh, well, there was so much noise from that jet up above. So I always thought, anyway, what would make the most sense for her being able to basically come back to life is that she's always being charged up. She's a battery, right? We know her on a cellular level, she's always absorbing sound. Always.
Yeah.
Always, always, always. So charge her up. Bring back her life force, charging up her batteries. It's the easiest sense, makes the most sense with her powers. And even when we go back to, or we're going back to the Uncanny X-Men days, 217 and 218, when they were in Scotland, oh, sorry, Muir Island, Muir Isle, and she took on the Juggernaut by herself, which we should get into that story because it's a really good one. When she took on the Juggernaut herself, oh yeah, it'll be an easy takedown based on the files, whatever. She learned her lesson. He thought he killed her and buried her alive and in this huge rock pile. And did she really die though? Maybe she did die and charge herself back up through sound. Hmm. That could have
That's
been the
like the
first time it
best.
happened.
That's like that's such a better scenario than the Siege
Yeah,
Perilous.
yeah, yeah. It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Siege Perilous, it feels like it's kind of like the multiverse in the MCU. It kind of feels cheap to me. Like, I understand it's the
Easy
thing that got
fix.
Rogue to the Savage Lands.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's just a quick fix.
yeah,
But yours makes way more sense because that is such a big part of her that she is a battery.
yeah.
No sound, no powers. That makes the most
Yep,
sense.
yep. And there's literally, throughout her comic history, there's been many scenes. I make it sound like a movie. Many panels, many pages, where she's literally said, "I need to absorb sound." On the way to fight Juggernaut, she made, and this is really badass. If you want her to be stealth, she's riding a motorcycle, and she creates basically a bubble of no sound around her. So she's charging herself up, and she's going stealth so he can't hear her coming. He knows she's coming anyway. That's I don't
Yeah.
even know how, but I mean, how cool is that? So charging herself up. There's another time when Claremont, who was tough on her character, she's at the beach in San Fran. She's charging herself up, but she's terrorizing the whole beach with her light powers, and she doesn't
Hmm.
realize, no, that should not have happened. That's a whole other situation. So, but yeah, but there's many instances of her literally charging herself up to fight.
Yeah, and I agree. Claremont was pretty rough on her. I have
Yes.
always thought like he does not like her. I don't care what anyone says. He
I don't
does
think he
not.
does either.
I think he's like this. Why is she here?
Yeah,
What does she want
because
me with?
Shooter made her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he didn't create. So he does get credit for being the first person to write her character, right? Uncanny X-Men 130, he got to write her. But he didn't, I don't believe, he really had any kind of hands in her creation, the whole development, right? He got to write her first, which is fantastic, and then, her solo series went for 42 issues. She had the Beauty and the Beast miniseries, Dazzler the movie graphic novel. The series was canceled, and then he was told by Jim Shooter, she's coming to the book. Now, I don't know how it went down with Longshot and Psylocke at the time. I feel like he liked Psylocke already.
Yeah.
I don't, Longshot, I have no idea. But they all came to the book right after the Mutant Massacre. We needed more team members because most people were hurt.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but and I got the sense too, and it's very Claremontian. I feel like there needs to be a character, and this is to have a well-rounded team, right? Different team dynamics. There needs to be a character more down on their luck or struggling with confidence, and she seemed to be the one at that time. Before that it had been Kitty, then it was Rachel and Kitty or Rachel. They were gone, and so I've got Dazzler. It's her. And, there was a switch in her confidence from her solo series to Uncanny X-Men. It does make sense if you look at what had happened with her life, right? She was trying to build her career for years, and everything fell apart when she was publicly outed. Like she was a pariah. It was just a horrible. She lost her career, she lost everything, and then she was touring with Lila, right? Who took her in, which was awesome. And she comes to Uncanny X-Men because, again, Mutant Massacre and Malice has possessed her. So the X-Men are checking out, and basically, for survival, she needs to stick with them. And she did not want to. So all of these things, like her life had fallen apart, it's for survival. So I get that. I get that her confidence would have taken many, many kicks, many, many licks, and she's, slowly in the Outback era, building her confidence. Sometimes she comes across as a diva, once in a while, which I don't love. I'm like, she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that. But it's it seems to be for comical reasons at times too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do really enjoy in the Outback era the camaraderie between her and the other very insecure member, Havoc. They get this fun
Yeah.
friends dynamic where like they're trying to outdo each other with practice all the time. Like he's blowing everything away and she's like, I've got more skills than that. And she's like, ticka, 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 you know, like with long shots blades instead of just blowing everything away. So they're really cute, like exercising together and training. So, but yeah, but I feel like by the time the Outback era was wrapping up, you know, Siege Perilous, the last four X-Men alive, gone. Then we got her back for two issues, then gone again for a couple years, and just like we never had that traction again with her. Still to this day. Really? So it's
Yeah.
it's hard on Dazzler fans. We've learned to be resilient like she is. She's always resilient. So I've learned that. I'm like, she'll be back. It could be a couple years. We may only have cameos, but we will get a writer or an editor or someone who maybe will come to Marvel, be like, you know what? I love her and I want to find a place for her. And no one's using her. They're going to snatch her up and use her. And that happens. And then Marvel makes a big deal about it, right? They'll always make a big deal like Dazzler's back. Like
Yeah.
we could have had her the whole time. Come on. So,
I
you
do
know,
think they're kind of having her kind of on reserve for when they have a live action Dazzler. I feel like Jason Lowe's, I loved everything he did, but I think it was timed poorly. It should have been playing off before, it should have came off before Deadpool and Wolverine.
yeah,
So it played off the
yeah,
Taylor Swift
yeah.
phenomena that
That
was
was
going on.
crazy. That was really crazy. And it's funny. So I've met him at New York City Comic Con, and then I did like a podcast with him, and he said, in an interviews he said this too publicly that he didn't know while they were making the book if that was happening or happened or not.
He told me that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so he
he
didn't
had
even
no
know.
idea.
No, he
Yeah,
didn't know.
I was because I said like, would you want to see Taylor Swift? He's like, I didn't know that
He didn't
was
know.
like a thing until like I was good,
Yeah,
and he's like,
yeah,
but yeah, I'd like her to do it. Then he kind of like started singing the
yep,
Dazzler
yep,
songs, and it was like
yep,
he
yep.
talked me into wanting
Yeah,
Taylor Swift to play
yeah,
Dazzler.
yeah. Would you like to hear my opinions and all the casting rumors and everything? So, the
Yes.
good news is I'm not super tough on casting. You would think this is my favorite character. I've got these people that I have to have, and these other people are no. I'm not that tough on it. I kind of roll with it. If I could pick, and I think you know my pick, if I could pick, I don't care about age. I don't care about anything. I would really, in my heart, like Kylie Minogue to be our live
Yes.
action Dazzler. She really is her. I mean, most people
Yes.
would agree. She is just like even her career, the ups and downs of her career. She's had cancer. She's been through a lot. The critics were really tough on her at the beginning of her career too, and she's a legend now. She's an icon. She has a world tour right now. You know, it's just an amazing to see her ups and downs and her ups in the last few years, and she just keeps on going. She's incredibly resilient. I'm like, this woman is the real life Dazzler. She really is, and she's fun. And I have been to her Vegas residency twice. Whew, it wasn't cheap, but it was worth it. And we'll be going in April. She'll be in Boston, and I can honestly say, going to her show, um, it's just magic. Like she is magical. Like you're just
Aw.
immediately happy, everybody's up on their feet, and you just start making friends with everybody around you. Like, and you're like, oh, is this your
Aw.
first Kylie concert? Is this your first? And like that's what I feel like a Dazzler concert and experience would be like. So love her. She's my number one pick, but I know she's 56, and I know they may want to start younger. I mean, she looks like she's probably 30. So, I mean,
Oh,
but
100%.
yeah, yeah, but I know, they contract these actors for 10 years.
Yeah.
So I get it, the 10-year contract. So it's funny. So when all the Taylor Swift, rumors started, I'm like, okay, so me personally, I'm like, no. And at first that was really a hard no. I'm like, no, she's like personality wise and voice wise and everything is not what I picture, like confidence wise, and she's not what I envision my Dazzler in my heart to be. But then I started thinking, there's a really big upside here, and I'm seeing it already, that pretty much the most popular, famous person in the universe right now, for years is Taylor Swift, and the level of popularity that's bringing to Dazzler and the exposure, I'm like, you can't beat that.
No, you
Everybody's
can't.
Googling Dazzler. Everyone wants to know who she is. Like book sales, like Like her first issue of her comic and Uncanny X-Men 130, the value went through the roof. Like things like that because people were buying these comics to be like, who is Dazzler? If they didn't already know. So that's a big draw of having her as Dazzler. And then if I had to say, who would Alison Blair herself choose, right? Like if the comic Dazzler could choose someone to play her, and based on her own struggles, I think she would want someone fairly unknown to get their
Yeah.
big break playing her.
Yeah, that's
That's
what
what
I've
I
always thought.
think. Yeah, she wouldn't
I
want someone that's huge known. She would want someone new to get this huge break in this career playing her.
Yeah, I think I've said that on the podcast before. Is like, I think she would want someone to build off of her and be able to relate to her and find success through her.
Yeah, totally, totally. And there's a few other people. I do like Samara Weaving. I think she could pull it off. I don't know if she can sing. I have no clue. But I think I keep picking Australians. She's Australian, Kylie Minogue's Australian. And I think I could be on board with Sabrina Carpenter too. She's so cute and she's so
She's so
happy.
cute and her
She's so
stage
cute.
presence.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's happy, but she's got that little edge to her. Like she's got
yeah.
that little sass. She's got that little like, I'm not gonna put up with this. And that seems pretty Dazzler to me too. Like happy, positive, magical, but you have this little tough spot that you're like, no, like I'm not gonna put up with that. I'm not gonna tolerate that. And it's just then she drops the F-bomb and I don't mind that sometimes. I don't mind that.
She seems like someone that plays to her own rules, but while playing to those rules, she knows, but this isn't for me. This is for my fans. And I
Yeah.
think that's very, very Dazzler-esque.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, she's young, but she may also be too big, right? Like if we want to go with someone who's not as known, but she's really cute and she would help, like with exposure as well. And over the years, I've definitely thought also just voice wise and just creativity wise, I'm like Lady Gaga. I mean, her voice is limitless, and the
Yeah.
way that Dazzler's voice is described, and Chris Claremont, to his credit, did a fantastic job when he would have her sing describing her voice in the different song that she could be singing, and like this is like a Janis Joplin type voice for this. And I really appreciated that because
Hmm.
he did a really good job. You could almost hear her, or I could picture, like in some 80s in the Outback era, I'm like, you know what she sounds like in the Outback era to me? I hear Pat Benatar. Because where they
Oh.
are in the Outback and just a little bit of the more gruff edge from all the hurt she's been through and her life falling apart and just them being on the outs with society and hiding. I'm like, I can hear that edge to her then. Um, but the way he would write her, but I mean, Lady Gaga can sing anything. She can sing
Yeah.
fun pop,
I
she
mean,
can
she's
sing tough.
classically trained. She
She's
really
so
can
good.
do it all.
She's so good. So, and Dazzler's had her times where she's had very dark periods too, where so the whole situation where she was set up to be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a mutant liaison. Oh wait, Mystique took her out on her first day of work. And that whole horrifically bad situation where again she's set up for something great and then something horrific happens. Not a cancellation of a book. That would have probably been a better scenario
Yeah.
than all this trauma. Hey, little puppies! I have dogs running in saying hi. Hey, Jolene. Um,
Aw.
I know she's cute. Dolly will be on her way too. Yes, Dolly and Jolene are two dogs. Yes,
Stop it.
I know.
That's
It's pretty.
amazing.
We're pretty cute. It's pretty
That is
obnoxiously
so
cute.
cute. It's
Yeah,
annoyingly cute. Yeah.
it's pretty cute. Yeah. Oh, hey, Dolly. Oh yeah, here comes Dolly. So Jolene's our little Jack Russell. She is a black and tan Jack, so she looks very different than a normal Jack. And Dolly is a frog, so she is a
Frog.
pug and a Frenchie mix. She's
Aw.
really cute. And she's very happy, sweet girl. Yeah, she's only a year old, so she's puppy and Jolene's 5. So, not to be
Aw.
sidetracked, but it's still music related. It's still Dazzler related, we can say.
That feels like a very Dazzler thing to do.
I know. She has no pets. Dazzler needs a pet. Yeah.
She needs
Uh,
a pet.
she needs a pet.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and we need to keep her sister away from her, but we can get to that too. So, anyway, Dazzler, so she's had some dark periods where I feel like that could be more darker, like Lady Gaga territory too. So, but there's many
Yeah.
options out there, so we'll see what happens. But I definitely will there'll be moments in time when I'm like, you know what? in the last couple of years, I feel like now's the time to strike. Like a multimedia Marvel singer, actress, selling comics, selling digital media, having concerts. I mean, Marvel, what are you sleeping on? Like it's such an easy
It's so
go.
easy, and it's
Cash
such an
cow,
easy
easy.
crossover thing because if you
I
look
know.
in, like, take the green drink, the one that gives the Incredible Hulk, the blood was in it, he drank it, whatever.
Oh yeah.
It's been in so many different things. Like it was just in Daredevil Born Again. It was in
Yep.
X-Men
Yep.
97. It is
Yep.
Stan Lee did a cameo
Yep.
with it. And it's like,
Yeah.
imagine what you could do with a pop star playing her song in the background. The movie, they're all going to a concert. You see a
It's
poster.
so
You could do
easy.
so
So easy.
much. It's so annoying that they don't
Yeah.
just grab it.
I know, it's so easy. I've been saying for years that in the multiverse, well, sorry, in the MCU, I did not want to get X-Men because of the multiverse. I'm like, it's too much of an easy fix. I don't
Yeah.
want that. I don't want that. I want something else. And what I thought, and I should have taken a writing class. I should have done something about this, but I didn't years ago, was so we know that in the 80s there was all the anti-mutant hysteria in comics. And one of the biggest reasons that exploded, and this was all through the X-Men comics, was Dazzler the movie. When she was publicly outed, that was a huge catalyst for a lot of that anti-mutant sentiment in the comics. And I feel like if we had, so the MCU, Earth 616, whatever, we're good to go. If we had basically this female singer with her light show at a concert, whatever, and then she was publicly outed, that led to the revelation of mutants exist and how they were not found for years. We have a lot of powerful telepaths out there, people. A lot of, and we have Cerebro, and we have Cerebra,
Yeah.
and we have Jean, we have Charles, we have Emma, we have Rachel, we have very many telepaths that could basically be cloaking mutants if that needed to happen. And I
Yeah.
feel like if that happened to be the catalyst, and then that's how you get, of course, the Avengers involved and everyone involved because now they're investigating in Shield. Like, what is going on? And it just leads to this huge revelation of mutants. And it would be very, comic related, kind of keeping a storyline going, and that'd be a great way to get Dazzler. But
I love
alas,
that.
thank you. Thank you. I mean,
That's perfect.
I think that could work. I
Yeah.
clearly that's not going to happen, but we have the whole multiverse fix. I'm assuming that's how it's going to go down, and I don't love it. I just feel like that is kind of like the Siege Perilous, like you
It
said.
is. It is exactly
It's
what it
too
is.
easy.
And I'm so sick of it. And
Yeah.
I hope there's some kind of soft reboot after because we're going to be heading into the mutant phase.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
something big's going down with Doctor Doom, Secret Wars, all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Something has to happen.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, I think will trigger a soft reboot, or they'll say, "Oh, the X gene was triggered by this."
Right.
It's like,
Right.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Well, I thought they were going there with the Eternals movie because unless I know that I researched this after because I'm like this sounds really familiar when that one oh God, Celestial that was coming up. I'm gonna get all the story wrong because I haven't seen it in a long time.
You're fine.
Please fix it and correct me. Please. People will be coming for me. Um, I'll be canceled because I
No,
got it
my
wrong.
my listeners are amazing. You are
Like I'm
totally fine.
trying to remember because I haven't seen it for a while.
It's a lot. It's a lot. I can't remember the Celestials' names to save my damn life.
Yeah.
So
So the celestial that was like coming up and the Earth was going to be destroyed, I believe was the plot, and they needed to stop it from happening, I think.
yeah,
So that one, Tiamat, I always want to say Tiamat, like Tiamat the dragon from
I say
D&D.
Tiamat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. So I don't know how to say it, but I say Tiamat to keep it straight and separate. So when that all settled down, I believe in the comics, and I think it was the Utopia era for the X-Men, which I actually liked the Utopia era, because we got Dazzler back too, whole other situation. I think that energy created the X gene or something. I'll have to look it up. It's somehow something related to that.
I can
Please,
see that.
listeners, look it up. Fix it for us. Find out. So
Yes, let
there's
us know
something
in the
with that.
comments because I want to know now because I haven't read too much Eternals comics? Did
No,
you
I
did
never
you
did. I honestly
Yeah.
never did. So the movie was fun for me. I only knew about the
Yeah.
Eternals that had crossed over into Avengers like in the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's Cersei. Oh, characters like that. So, but yeah, I didn't know a lot about them, which was fun. Like, I think it is fun to go into a comic movie like, you know what? I don't really know anything about these characters. I'm going in with a fresh set of eyes. I don't know anything. Let's just run with it. I think that helps sometimes. I'm also not a comic purist when I see films and shows because I know they need to make many changes for continuity that's happened before, and just societal wise and story wise, they've got to change things. Now, sometimes they make changes, just change a character's name, and I'm like, what? But I just roll with it. Like, it doesn't offend me unless it's something horrible that they really changed about a character and then killed the character. I'm like, okay, I do have a problem with that.
There's a few things like Taskmaster being a woman. That's one I'm like, you didn't have to do that. That felt rude. That was very rude of you. But then there's other things that like they do keep so comic accurate, and you're like,
Yep.
that's just enough. Like with Daredevil Born
Yeah.
Again, the stuff that they're doing in there, it's like with White Tiger. I'm like, you know what? You guys kept that completely comic accurate, and
Yep.
I really appreciate that
Yep.
because that
Yep.
is the first Latino superhero,
Yep.
and that needed
Yep.
that. But other
Yep.
things, it's like it's based on the comics. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not pulling from the comic. It's just
Yeah.
loosely based.
Inspired by the
Yeah,
storyline and
exactly.
yeah, so and speaking of which, not only am I a huge Dazzler fan, I've been like an X-Men fan since I was a little kid. And it all started, and this is very current to what's happening right now, hopefully. My intro to the X-Men mutant world was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon with Iceman and
I love that.
Firestar.
I
And that
love
was for a
that.
lot of us of my generation. It definitely was. Because, if we weren't reading comics, right? So we saw the Saturday morning cartoon. We had Iceman and Firestar, who's created, of course, for Spider-Man and his amazing friends. And who didn't love Iceman and Firestar? We all did.
Yeah.
Firestar especially. I mean,
Uh-huh.
and we could go on to say they are the original Marvel thruple. If you watch that
100%.
cartoon, if you go back and look at that cartoon, there is a lot going on there. They're living together. I think there was only two beds. I'll have to go back and look. And there was a lot of smooching going on between Firestar and Ice and, all three. Well, not the men. We didn't see that on screen back then. Jim Shooter and Marvel would not have allowed that. So, but anyway, so that was my intro to the X-Men world. So, you know, now, we have this casting for Spider-Man 4 with Sadie Sink, and some of us are really hoping it's Firestar.
It's
Like,
totally Firestorm.
I really hope it is. I
Yeah.
feel like she's perfect for her too. Not just because she has red hair and everyone's like, oh, she has red hair, it has to be
But she's
Firestar MJ.
feisty. She has range. She
She's
can pull off anything.
Yeah, and she's got the right mix because the comic, so it's funny, there's differences between cartoon and comic Firestar. So, cartoon Firestar, power is literally fire. Okay. She was more confident, but we got her a little later too. We got her in college, right? We didn't get her in college in the comic world until after the New Warriors, after the 90s. So much later. She was a teen in the New Warriors, and she was 12 or 13 when we met her. So we had her later when we first got her, if that makes any sense, and different powers. So going to the comic world, and to be fair, we did get her a Firestar is Born episode written by Christy Marks, who created Gem and the Holograms. Okay, which is why that episode's amazing. But in her origin story, even in the cartoon, she was very shy, and she was picked on. And her dad worked a very blue collar job. They were very poor. The kids picked on her because of that. And flip to the comic world, same situation. She's, single dad. They moved around a lot because he worked construction, and he worked construction in the comics too. They kept a lot of her origin. She was very shy, picked on girl. And then, of course, dealing with, a mutant. Her powers erupting with her microwave radiation powers, so very different than Firestar, fire powers. And, all the trauma with Emma Frost, the White Queen, taking her to Massachusetts Academy to train her to be an assassin to kill the Black Queen, all this crazy stuff, and then eventually becoming a new warrior in her teenage years. she has that mix, right? So Firestar, even now, has that mix of the shy, reserved, not always the one to speak up in a situation, kind of lets others. But if someone hurts someone that she loves, if someone pushes a boundary or is doing something bad, she's not going to stand for that. She may blow a fuse and jump in a little too early, jump to action, right? And I can totally see that. Like what I've seen from Sadie Singh's acting in Stranger Things is she can really do that internalized hurt and trauma and shyness, and then slowly breaking out of that in this real tough, maturity as well. She can really pull that out. So I would love her to be Firestar. And of course, physically, red hair, blue eyes, which many comic colorists still get wrong with Firestar. Angelica Jones has blue eyes. They're not green. She's not Jean. She is not Rachel. They're blue. People, get it straight. Ugh, that irks me. That irks me, people. So I think she can really do it. And when you go back and you look at like the trading cards, when you go back and look at Marvel Fanfare, or what was that one that had all the descriptions and the write-ups and the stats on people? Why can I not get that right? It wasn't Marvel.
It
But
was Marvel. Oh God, there's a Marvel Dictionary, or Thesaurus, or whatever.
something like that. I can't remember the name. They had all the issues. I've collected them. It's now an omnibus. But
Marvel's Greatest Comics.
I don't remember. I don't remember what
I
it's
don't
called.
remember either.
Oh
There's
my
been
God.
quite a few different things like
Yes.
that though.
But those would always give her height as like either 5'1" or 2. Sadie Sink,
Okay.
clearly, I believe that that's around her height. She does not seem like she's tall. So I'm like, these are all aligning. I think this could work. But yeah, I really hope that we get an Amazing Friends movie because A, we'll get some mutants sneaking in, some more mutants, right? Iceman and Firestar. And shouldn't we be going to the college years now in Spider-Man movies? And he
Absolutely.
doesn't, yeah, I mean, hello. He's been in high school for a long time and his whole world has changed. Nobody knows him, right? Nobody knows Peter Parker as Spider-Man. So he needs new friends. He needs new amazing friends. I said it. So I hope that happens.
Well, she is 5'3", and for
Oh,
those
close.
who
Okay.
I know, right? And for those who have only seen her in Stranger Things, definitely check out The Whale with Brendan
Okay.
Fraser because,
Okay.
like, holy crap,
Good. She's good in that too.
she
Okay.
can act like no one's business.
Okay, good. I'll have to check that out. I have not seen that. I remember when that came out. I remember it was great for his career, a big resurgence. Someone gave him a
Yeah,
chance, and he hadn't been given a chance in a long time. So, yeah, all right, I'll have to check that out.
yeah. I will say I don't cry during like anything, like TV shows, nothing. Like
No?
remember episode 5 of X-Men 97, no tears. But I
No
will say that
tears?
one almost got me.
Oh,
It is a
no!
good movie.
Okay, I'll add it to the list. So, actually, since you brought up X-Men 97, let's talk about the treatment of Dazzler in that.
I knew that
So,
was coming. I knew it.
not cool. So,
No.
in the original X-Men cartoon, so she wasn't treated well in that either. They did debut her like they did in the comics. Right? I keep going like this because I have my omnibus out. Like I'll just show everybody. Here it is. Ta-da! This gigantic.
That's
Look how
amazing.
thick this is.
Oh
If
my
you fall
gosh.
asleep in bed with this, you're dead. You killed yourself. It is so heavy. It's huge. But look how thick that is. It's huge. Let me go. The light's shining on it. Ah,
That's
there we go. But anywho,
beautiful.
yeah, it is beautiful. And I did buy them both. I bought both covers because I really. Let me see if it's underneath. Oh, okay, I can show you. This is a nice little surprise as I rip the dust cover. Whew. So if you look under here, oh no, the light's getting it. There we go. We've got her blue Outback costume with red headband
Oh, I
from
love
issue
that.
38, the debut. Oh, you can see it better there.
Oh, that's perfect.
There she is. So I like that we get a little, because I feel like to me that was that costume I got to know her in. I first saw her in Uncanny X-Men issue 223, a filler issue in between, um, what was it? The Mutant Massacre and Fall of the Mutants. So something like that. It was a filler. They had fought the Marauders in San Fran, and they were training. They were in Alcatraz. And I just saw her training, and I fell in love with her. In that costume with the red headband flying in the air, and just training with Longshot, and then her having a little mishap where she almost died. His blades almost killed her, and Rogue saved her. I'm like, you know what? She's pretty cool. She has a little mishap. She's not this perfect superhero. So I liked her immediately. But X-Men 97. All right, so they debuted her. All of her coloring was messed up. She had green eyes, dark red hair, not strawberry blonde, and her voice was very flinty. And she was just coming on to Cyclops. Like that was her. That's what she did.
And she
Her
died.
motivation. Yeah, and then 97 she died. Yeah, so yeah, not okay. We saw her a few times. She got to perform on stage. She didn't sing. She never spoke. She just kind of floated up there with a light show. And then she died at the gala. And we saw her not only dead once, we saw her dead twice. We saw her next to Shaw with blood out her mouth, dead, but like on a stretcher potentially. And then we saw her 2 episodes later when Jean was feeling the psychic energy left behind. We see Dazzler smashed to the ground.
So I
Not
actually have a
okay.
theory about this. I think
Okay.
she's going to come back
I hope so.
because we saw Apocalypse looking,
Yes.
he was kind of shopping for his horsemen. I
Yes.
think the way they had her look, I think that'll 100% change into what we're more knowing of her when she becomes a horseman. I think it'll be her, Gambit, Madeline Pryor, and Sebastian Shaw.
Ooh, that's a good theory I never thought of. I never thought of that. But I did think that so here's 2 things, right? So the first season they had consequences, right? We had people die. And we do have to in some way ensure that there are some still lifelong consequences for the characters, right? You can't always go back and fix everything, bring everybody back. But it's Dazzler. And then things are really taking off from her social media wise because all the Taylor Swift rumors and everything. I'm like, what really bad timing of that to happen in the show that had a lot of viewers. So what would my fix be? So, well, one little Easter egg, actually not in the show, but in the Lego X Mansion, is that on the back of it, I didn't buy it. I'm like, this is too much money. I need to draw the line
Yeah.
somewhere. She's on the back of it. There's like picture ads or posters on the back of the mansion. One for Nightcrawler, like his little show in the circus, and one for Dazzler. And it's in her disco Dazzler everything. So I'm like, I don't think that's a coincidence
Hmm.
to advertise that on that toy. They had no reason they needed to do that. So I'm like, they're going to find a way to bring her back in that incarnation somehow. And,
Horseman.
Horseman. And the other thing, maybe in Rachel's timeline, because there are lots of people standing around her. Maybe one of those could be Dazzler. I don't
I
know.
like that a lot.
We'll
I
find
like that
out.
a lot.
And I love that we finally see Rachel, his mother, Ascani. And who's doing her
I
voice work. I'm very excited for Gates McFadden from Star Trek The Next Generation to be voicing her. She's Rachel.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's a really good, like, going back to the 80s cut to bring her in. I love it. She was the doctor.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah. I love her. She's a sweet pea. But yeah, Dazzler dead in the cartoon, not cool. So, like, unnamed in that episode, didn't have any lines, and then dead. Not
This
okay.
has Claremont written all over it.
No, so they can bring her back, right? They had to bring her back. That was a
Yeah,
good
because
one.
that's their thing.
Yeah,
Good guy.
bring her back. Bring her back. Well, even too in the miniseries. Well, I think they had a miniseries for like a companion miniseries for the cartoon. They had a comic, and issue 1 was about Dazzler getting kidnapped and the X-Men getting her, and then a battle at the end where she got to fight. Like, wouldn't that have made more sense to be an episode of the show? And her death would have had more impact. We got to know her a little bit more, and they saved her. But then she died. You know what I mean? Like, that would have
Yeah.
had a little more consequences other than everyone who knows Dazzler, Dazzler fan, she died okay. So, I don't know. Either way, it stinks. So hopefully they find a way. And I know that, episode 2, season 2 is all recorded. Lenore just posted this week online that they're starting recording season 3. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah,
But
me
we
too.
are getting to the end of the episode, so if you
We
wouldn't-
are.
I know. It went so fast. It's
It did.
wild.
It did.
This has
We
been
need a
so
part
much
2.
fun. Yes, you're invited back anytime. And if there's any Dazzler news, I need you back because I need your
Yeah.
excitement.
Yeah, absolutely. Things keep happening. I mean, we keep
Yeah.
getting new things. So after, and I always want to say, um, so Concert of Champions, I got it right this time. Usually I say, what's the other line that keeps happening? Something of Champions. Like Fight of Champions or something, and I
Yeah.
keep saying that instead. I'm like, wait a minute. This is not right. So yeah, it's a one shot. I wish it was an ongoing or a mini, but it does
Hmm.
look to be a one shot. So hopefully, if it has good sales, we can get more.
Yeah, and more things can come from it. So that's what
Yes.
I'm excited about to see what,
Yes.
because there's so many characters,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's
Yep.
Dazzler ran, so it has to have
Yeah.
some
Let's give her a
from
team
her.
again. Can we have a team? When
Yes.
she led
Yes.
Extreme X-Men, and I know we're at the end, just to plug Extreme X-Men by Greg Pak, that is what I consider the fully realized Dazzler. She gets to lead a team, hopping around the multiverse, saving people, and killing Xavier's, evil Xavier's. It sounds like the weirdest book. It is the weirdest
I'm
book.
so into that.
And it is incredible. And you get to deal with all the levels of her being cool, being musical, using her powers in really cool ways. She can echolocate people. Just so you know,
Oh,
she can
oh,
use photoelectric noise to be invisible to sentinels. I mean, come
oh,
on,
yeah. I
people.
didn't know.
Yeah,
My
so many
gosh.
cool things. And of
Yeah.
course, the solid light constructs. She can do that too. She can make complete duplicates of herself. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. She can do so much aside from lasers, light shows, and photons. So
She's
read.
almost overpowered, honestly, and I don't know
She
why they're sleeping on her.
is. I'm just gonna say it and come from me, people. She is Omega. Through Project Pegasus testing, there is no limit to her energy projection. And
So
now
that'd
that
make
she
her
can
Omega.
store, no one else, yeah, there's no limit to her power
Unless
projection.
unless the her not being if there's no noise and
There's,
she's powerless, I could see
yeah,
that holding her back,
true.
making her an alpha.
But isn't that technically like the same with Iceman, who's Omega? Because doesn't he need moisture? If he has a complete lack of moisture, he can't create ice, right? Someone else correct me.
I believe so.
And kind of like Storm, doesn't she need something to work from to start? Or can she just create weather from nothing? Maybe she can. I feel
I
like
don't
she needs
know.
something.
Now I need answers.
See?
Yeah.
I don't know. So
Something
anyway,
feels weird.
something
Claremont,
feels
you're
weird.
behind this. It
I know
you're
somebody.
behind it.
I don't think we should have definitions of Omega, Alpha, anything anyway. I think it just makes fans compete. Like their favorites
Yeah.
compete. Like my favorite's Omega because of this and yours isn't. Like, can't we just have people be powerful without a definition? Why do we need the labels, people?
I understand why they have it because, the mutant registry and all that. It does come from an
True.
evil
It
place.
does. That's true.
I'm
Nimrod
glad
wanted to
that,
kill the Omegas in the Gala, going for Jean,
yeah.
going for Iceman. True.
Yeah. So
That's
I
true.
get it that they have them, but I
Yep.
think that it should be ignored by the fan base because it's a very Friends of Humanity vibe that it's
Yeah.
coming from. So it's like they're all
Yeah.
mutants. They all
They're
have
all
special
mutants.
things,
That's right.
chill.
That's right. That's right. But anywho, if you haven't read, and I'll plug this for everybody that's listening, if you have not read from 2012 Extreme X-Men, the cast is, and I'm going to hold up an issue so I can show everybody. So we have, oh, the light. We have
Oh, there
Dazzler.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, we have Dazzler. We have Sage. We have young Nightcrawler because they're from the multiverse,
Oh,
except
yeah.
Daz. And we, except, no, I don't want to spoil anything. We have a Hercules and we have another variant of Cyclops. And look at that costume on Dazzler, by the way. Is that not
That's
fantastic?
perfect. I
Look at the
love that.
boots. It's pretty cool.
Yes.
And there's Xavier, a floating head in a bottle. That's a true story. But I can't tell you anything. You just have to read it.
I'm gonna
And
have to read it.
and
Yes.
even better, because this is an LGBTQ friendly podcast,
Hmm.
Hercules and Howlett, General James Howlett, are a couple. That's right.
Hercules gets around, and I am so here for
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And it's really cool. He pops up later in the series. I don't want to spoil anything, but I highly recommend it. It was only 12 issues, and then it got wrapped into like Age of Apocalypse and Astonishing X-Men to end some of the books. So
Hmm.
that it was called Extermination. Yet again, many extermination storylines, and I don't love how they wrapped things up. So I'll just leave it
Well,
with that.
well,
But
now I know
it's a
what
really
I will
cool
do.
book.
Yeah. Why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
All right, where can they find me? So I'm on Instagram, I'm on Blue Sky, I'm on Facebook, as my name is Michael Anderson, and on Instagram it's MWANDERS 4, M Wanders 4. It's just an old college email name. With my name, it's really hard to create accounts with my very generic name. Thanks a lot, Mom and Dad. So, yeah, M Wanders 4, and I think that's also my name on I don't know, Blue Sky. I don't even know. Just look for my name. But I do admin a very fun, very positive group on Facebook called Age of Dazzler. So this has been around for over 7 years. I didn't create it technically. Our friends did, but they dumped me in as admin immediately and said, you need to run this group. I knew nothing about Facebook groups, literally nothing, so I had a lot of help getting this going. We have a couple more admin, and I will say we have been, and this is a quote, that this group is the most positive place on the internet.
I'm in the
That's
group, and I
it.
will say, like, you don't see X-Men centered groups positive whatsoever, but this group, I love this group. I love how
Thank
everyone is
you.
just there to love a character.
And it's hard, and it's funny because I've found that most one character groups end up being photo dumps. Is kind of what
Yes.
they end up being, right? And
Yeah.
it'll be repeat photo dumps from new members that don't know that this was posted 2 years ago, whatever. But I think, Dazzler is so beloved, and she's such her character's so accepting that the group is naturally very diverse, very LGBTQ. I feel like it's 90% of gay men in the group. I feel like that's our makeup of the group. Which she's a
Yeah.
pop star. It happens, right? It happens in the real world with our pop stars too. So, but no, I'm exaggerating a bit. But it just lends itself to very creative people because we have that music aspect of the character too, right? We have
Yes.
that very, we have that artistic aspect. So we get a lot of creativity that way. We have a lot of artists, we have a lot of writers in the group.
A lot
And
of
it's just
cosplay.
awesome. A lot of cosplay. And I do cosplay too. Yes. So
Hmm.
I do primarily cosplay. You guessed it, as Dazzler, doing some gender bend out there in the universe before I knew it had a name called gender bend. I didn't know. So yeah, I do a lot of her costumes around. And when I get to cons, I try my best to host an Age of Dazzler happy hour. And we do
I
that. I
love
did
it.
it at many big cons, and it's fun. We get artists and writers there too, so it's a treat to share the love of Allison Blair, the Dazzler, out there.
Well, that's amazing. This
Thank
has been
you.
so much fun.
Thank you.
You're incredible. Like I said, you're invited back anytime.
Thank you. I would love to come back. Yes, I have
Yes.
many nerdy things in my life, like G.I. Joe, Transformers, anything 80s, anything X-Men. I'm here for it. Absolutely. And
Beautiful.
Severance, if you ever do a Severance episode, I would love to be on.
I actually have to get into that, so I may take you up on that.
It's really good. You cannot
I have to
multitask during
I have
Severance.
to try I have to get Apple Plus. That's what's keeping me
Yes.
back.
There's
Um,
not a lot on there. So yeah, I know there's
yeah.
Severance, but we don't really watch anything else on it. It's so what you could do, a lot of friends do this when like a couple new shows are the whole seasons are up. They will like get a list of the shows and they'll do a free, I think they can do a still like a free 30 days on Apple and they'll just binge everything and then cancel. They'll do that
That's
every
such a
couple
good
of
idea.
years.
That's such a good idea. I may just do
I
that.
mean, they don't have a lot of shows. So,
They
but yeah,
don't.
Severance is good. But it's a show that you have to just laser
Watch.
focus
No
because there's
phones. No.
little details and then you have to go
Mhm.
back and you're like I think this happened and I think that was the same word or I saw that piece of paper. It's that specific from Ben Stiller.
I like that.
I do,
I like
and
that a
it's
lot.
very smart. I've never seen anything like it, like just
Oh,
the mix of the styles, and it stars my lady love, Patricia Arquette. I've loved her
I
since I
love
was a little
her.
kid, and she just is better and better and better and better in everything she does. So I'm a longtime fan of hers, yes.
Well, I will get into that and I
Yeah.
will let you know how it goes.
Okay. Do we need yes, please do. Do you do like a picture or freezes or anything? Should I hold this up for a photo? What do we do here? For
I
advertising photos.
I'm gonna use the Dazzler. Um,
Okay.
and I usually just pull from the video itself, so
Sounds good.
feels more authentic
Sounds
to me.
good. Sounds
So
good.
whoever is listening to this episode, look in the show notes right under wherever you're listening, and you'll have all the links to where you can find Michael and
Thank you.
his Dazzler group and everything. And I highly recommend the
Yay.
Dazzler group fantastic place, fantastic people.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Megan, for having me. This has been fun. I've been listening, and I've been in groups online, and you make an incredibly inclusive experience. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
Well, we are at the end. Wherever you're listening to this episode, click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my amazing guests like Michael or any future episode. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a marvelous night.